God, oh my God, it's Shakespeare. It's going to be so daunting, so scary, oh my God. The trouble is we get introduced to Shakespeare by reading it. Nobody goes over to the music library and pulls down a Mozart score and tries to read it. Shakespeare didn't write the plays for you to read them. He wrote them for you to hear them and see them. I'm Jack Young. I'm the artistic director of the Houston Shakespeare Festival. Well, yes, I also act and I direct, and there have been times I've also done fight direction. And there are times I do marketing and write grants and all those other things that one does when one is trying to lead a nonprofit arts organization in the 21st century. So. This summer, I am directing Cymbeline, which is one of Shakespeare's romances. It's one of his later plays. He had done with all the histories, but there were many legends and fairy tales that were still out there, and at the time, his audiences had sort of gone in the same way. The 1960s and 70s filmmakers that were making things that were true and gritty for their time, and then we got bored with that, and so we made Star Wars. Fantastical things. So Shakespeare's writing goes into a whole new direction with plays like Cymbeline and Winter's Tale and Pericles and The Tempest. So we've got this fairy tale journey, and though the play is called Cymbeline, it's really focused on his daughter Imogen and her journey in this, through this kind of fairy tale world. So I'm directing that show, but then I'm also playing King Lear in King Lear. And I am blessed to have a company around me that will make this journey glorious. Wearing a lot of hats, I think, got started when I was a kid. I played music, I read a lot, was smart enough to do engineering and math and science things, and was tracked onto science and going to do those things, and that would be a practical career, but it was sort of, there wasn't enough on the plate only to do that. And one of my friends in engineering, when I was studying engineering, was like, why do you want to do that? Because I get to be all sorts of things. I don't have to only be this. I can be all sorts of things. Also in engineering, it takes a long time to build a bridge. It just takes a long, long time. And I didn't have the patience. I can do a play in 6 weeks, and I can do another one, and I can do another one, I can do another one. So I get to do a lot of different things. And my appetite is such that I want to do this, and I want to do that. I want to do comedy of errors and yuck it up with that. And we'll do Hamlet too, and go down dark existential hallways. Being in plays allows me to play a lot of different tunes. I guess if anybody stole my iPod out of my car, and yes, I still have an iPod in my car. It's a pretty eclectic range of music that's there, and that appetite for variety gets satiated by doing plays. I can write grants, and there's a certain competitive thing that's served. I got that grant. And then there's the collaborative of being on stage with other people and sharing the truth that is the same kind of appetite that was served when I was playing music and I was in concert with other folks and we were playing together, and are we in harmony and are we in time, and sharing that time. And then stage combat's just a hell of a lot of fun to get out there and wielding swords and make storytelling that looks like violence but isn't. My tastes are pretty eclectic, and theater allows me to serve my eclectic appetite. Houston Shakes is its own particular challenge. Doing plays is hard anyway. Doing Shakespeare ain't easy. Doing Shakespeare outdoors in Houston, Texas in August on a 55-foot wide stage in front of 4,000 people, that's a lot. And there's certain things about the plays. He's got 37 plays, and some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. Some of them are acoustic plays, some are chamber plays. Some of them are, no, this is a rock show. This is a stadium concert. Making sure we're picking the material to serve that rock venue. I mean, it's not made for rock and roll, but it was made for symphonies and things like that. It was, Miller Outdoor Theater was built as a band shell for the Houston Symphony to perform and share its gifts with the community, which is great. And it's free, which is astounding, unbelievable. I've lived in Seattle and Virginia, North Carolina, been around Atlanta, New York. There is no other place in the country where the city has set this venue up to be for free. The people in the community can come see high-level arts for free. I mean, theater's great. We have a good theater in this town, but it's expensive, and we're free. And so we're the place that anybody who can't afford it can see it. People can see their first play with us. People can see their first Shakespeare with us. So we have a particular challenge. We got to do the play in a way that when they say, oh yeah, I saw King Lear, and it was like this. They did what? There was a giant shoe on stage? that doesn't sound like King Lear. No, we got to do it in a way that, oh yeah, that's King Lear. But we also have to do it in a way that people have seen King Lear or Cymbeline can go, oh, that's exciting. We can't just do it the same way, the regular way. There's got to be enough drive and energy and focus in it that they can take our version and put it alongside of the other versions and go, yeah, I'm gonna set this on my mantle and this one's up here. The cool thing with it, that the people who know the material are excited by it and not so crazy or offbeat that the people who don't know it walk away going, what was that? We do 2 shows every summer with the goal that they will complement each other. Often a serious one and a comic one, or a heavy one or a light one. They're not an antithesis that they do complement. There's one's heavy, one's light, one's fast, one's slower. One is very colorful, one is very steel. And we've sort of hit a sweet spot in the last couple of years. And I think Cymbeline and King Lear will do the same. Because Cymbeline is this romantic fairy tale. It's gonna be very gossamer, and King Lear is a javelin. And it is strong and in a world of war. There's a war in Cymbeline too, but it's a different kind of thing. One's Princess Bride, one is Game of Thrones. I think that's really appealing for our audiences to come out twice in August in the heat and come out and sit on a blanket and watch our folks up there on that giant stage. When you're looking at them from the hill, you are looking at an actor that is no taller than your thumbnail. And it's that big, and yet it's got to have an impact on folks that will hold them for 2.5 hours. It's a fun challenge. These 2 shows we were supposed to do in 2020. We were rolling and the shows had been cast, and then the word got down that the Houston rodeo was being shut down. And Houston is shutting down the rodeo? I mean, I know things were bad in Italy, I know they were having trouble in China, but like, we're shutting down the rodeo? And not that it wasn't sort of real then, but then things got real and everything shut down. It was like we went into a coma. We came out of the coma and we were able to get the designers back together and say, hey, this was a good start, we really like this. And the artists that we had engaged with before, we agreed as an organization, we owed them the chance to do this. And first right of refusal, because people have moved on. People that were living here left. People who were at a certain place in their career, no, better things are happening for them, great. Oh shit, now we gotta find another thing, another person to plug into there. We've got most of the company together. All the designers jumped back in too, which was great. And in a crazy way, some of those designs had time to steep. Plays come together quickly, but to have a little more time to think through things, go, this, but with that now. And even crazier, I guess, for these 2 plays, the pandemic hits and folks are saying, well, Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the plague. Okay, cool, I suppose. But again, on further reflection, the things that happen in King Lear are happening, and the person who's writing King Lear is happening in the midst of a terrible, terrible time. And the things that happen in King Lear are terrible. And the people that are trying to make their way through it goes bad. Which I guess if I'm writing this in the middle of the plague, that's how the world looks. But we're also doing Cymbeline, which Cymbeline was written after King Lear. And there are bad things that happen in Cymbeline. Terrible things happen to Buttercup and Princess Bride. She has to go through all sorts of terrible things, the rodents and all the crazy stuff, and that's terrible. But she makes it through. And the characters in Cymbeline have terrible things happen on their path too, but they make it through. And the conversation between the 2 plays of here we are in the thick of it, and it's terrible, and people are being terrible to each other, and how will we make it through? But the answer is, you know what? You make it through. You keep going. And you go with generosity and you go with heart. And when you make it through, there are people there with you. And you made it through together, and you find each other again. And it's a fairy tale. Of course, a fairy tale. Yeah, Princess Bride works out like that. But I think both plays, especially now, 2022, we need both. Because we need to recognize that the bad stuff has happened and terrible things are around, and not everybody made it. And stuff still needs to be taken care of. But at the same time, we have to have some hope in the faith that Imogen goes forward with in the play. It's like, just keep the light on, keep walking, keep the light on, and we're gonna make it. We're gonna be worn, we're gonna be bruised, but you can make it, you can make it. And I think that's Shakespeare after the plague is over, writing the play. Lear, it sucks. Keep going, it'll get better. We didn't plan that in 2020. We just needed to do Lear. We hadn't done it in 20 some years. And Cymbeline is fun, and we've done a bunch of other comedies. Then there was COVID, and now we know more. And I think that's that's our special opportunity this summer with these two plays. Oh, see, I got to cheat here. 90% of directing is casting. The first rehearsal isn't where it gets rolling. Casting is where it gets rolling. And when I get the right folks, first rehearsal, opening night, it just sails along. You get the right people in the room, and it sounds like, oh, I work with great people. But when you've got the right folks in, it's really a matter of making sure the band is tuned together. That's a cool choice, except you missed the friend over here. Okay, cool. Oh, cool, yes, and you heard that too, and now, oh, right, you had that idea, but now let's put these two ideas together. Having the right folks in the room, and that's the actors, that's also stage managers, that's also costume designers, that's having all that together. The crazy thing on Houston Shakes, we're insane. We're just insane. We do this in no time at all. Most folks take 3 weeks to do a play. We're taking 3 weeks to do 2 plays. 2 plays. And not just any plays. We're doing Shakespeare plays. Having folks who have the mind and the brain and the skill to take on complex language, and most of the time in training, you do scenes. 2 people in a scene. So you get used to like me and you. We're in a scene. But now there are like 7 of us on stage, and it's me and you and him and her and him. And it's going from like passing 1 ball back and forth from your hand to 3 balls, no, 7 balls. And how can I keep track of all of this in the room? And again, I get the right folk, they can manage this. So my job as a director is to make sure I have enough things around them so that they can make the connections that the play and our production deserves. And I know some, but what's even better is when I find better, because I got the right people in the room. I'm like, oh, okay, no, follow that lead, no, follow that lead. Again, Shakespeare's big, Shakespeare's episodic. Most of the plays were written to be done on a certain kind of stage so that things could move quickly. It isn't a lot of scenery. Our new props person is new to Shakespeare. And so she came in, she's really industrious, and she wants to make sure she gets it right. And she was, oh my God, I'm gonna have to build all this. I'm like, no, you don't have to build it. It's Shakespeare. We don't have to build giant things of furniture. We're not putting on giant dinners. We don't need tea sets and things that you would need in a contemporary play. That's why Shakespeare festivals are all over the country, because you got a couple tankards, you got a bench or two, a couple spears, some swords, we're good. We have to build a bed for this one. It's a little different. Then we've got to do that. But you don't have to go doing the things that you would do if you were doing Glengarry Glen Ross and you had to build an entire office that has to get trashed and have typewriters and phones and all that stuff. You don't have to. We move too quickly to have to worry about that. So we have an advantage in a certain way by give us a couple things and some great minds and some valiant hearts, and we're good to go. Part of the whole thing for Houston Shakespeare Festival, because guilty as charged, is again, oh, Shakespeare, oh my God, it's Shakespeare, oh my God, it's Shakespeare, it's gonna be so daunting, so scary, oh my God. No, Shakespeare isn't that. I mean, again, the trouble is we get introduced to Shakespeare by reading it. Nobody goes over to the music library and pulls down a Mozart score and tries to read it. When you're really up to the highest level, yes, you can have a facility to read a Mozart score and hear that music in your head. Shakespeare didn't write the plays for you to read them. He wrote them for you to hear them and see them. And so here we are, your gateway drug, because we're going to show you that this is a whole lot of fun. You know these people. You've seen that person. One of the best compliments we get is when someone comes up and goes, I really like that. What translation did you use? I just understood it. I mean, you must have used a translation. Those couldn't have been Shakespeare's words. No, they are Shakespeare's words. We actually have people who have the mind, the brain, the guts, the facility to make those words ring true in your ear. And I have to remind our actors, some of it is seeing, but a whole lot of it is hearing, because again, it's Miller. We're all on mics. So you're watching this big screen with a whole lot of tropical fish swimming around inside it. But which of the fish is talking? Because the sound is only coming from the speakers. So our job is to make sure it goes in their ears in a way so they can hear the truth. Again, it's our special mission as our evangelizing is to get these folks hooked. And hearing 4,000 people laugh at one joke at one time is glorious. It is manna from heaven. Before we start the show, we do a fight call. And folks sometimes get that at the park at 6:30, so they're already setting up packing. And a lot of time we're doing fight call because we're working through the fight sequences to make sure we're in agreement about how things are going, make sure people are staying safe. Got a little too close last time. Okay, we know the nap got late. How do we make sure that the timing stays clean? And usually there'll be kids that will come down out of the house to stand beside us, and they'll be watching what's on stage and watching a group of people collaborate on making this story, and they'll be looking at the fight director, and they'll be looking at this. And a lot of times our fight director are women, which is even crazier for some of these kids. Like, wait, she's telling those guys with the big swords what to do? Like, yep, she knows what this is supposed to be. And watching the light bulbs go off for these, watching the tumblers drop, watching them go, wait, this is me too. This is our culture. This is our culture. That's why they built that damn Miller out there, was so that we could share our culture. And the next set of kids go, yeah, that's me. I'm there next. And all I say is, you like this? You want to be in this? Read your books. The teacher's not kidding. Do your math. Get up here. You do the work. This place is waiting for you. And you can be in these plays too, because they're all our plays. I'm Irish. I shouldn't be doing these plays. It's written by some dumb English guy. It doesn't belong to the English. It belongs to all of us. And that's where Miller gets to be our place, that we all can have it. And we do Cymbeline, we do King Lear, and we've done Hamlet, and we're gonna do, I don't know if we'll do all of them. Some of them are like a little rough road for a place that's supposed to be a rock venue. Some of them are more acoustic. And yeah, he wrote 37, but not all of them are hits. But there's a B-side for a lot of artists anyway, so that's why there's a B-side. But when they come and see these plays, then they're in the know, and then we shared this, and Miller's a great place for it. I saw Laurence Olivier's Lear on video way back. I played Oswald, one of the servants, a really nasty servant, and then I played Cornwall as well. And I've choreographed it a couple times. So it's always been this hill off in the distance. I'm gonna keep walking, and eventually this will stop being as dark as it is and will turn into the light salt that it is now. So it will be time for me to do this play. Because when I was playing Cornwall, the cool thing about Cornwall, he's dead at the end of the first act. So I get to stand at the back of the house and watch the second act. And this guy, Dudley Knight, who was playing Lear, was terrific. And there are scenes, and he would lead them in ways, and hearing, outdoor theater, 1,200 people, and hearing the audience go, mm-hmm. He just spoke a truth, and 1,200 people went, mm-hmm. Oh, man. I'm looking forward to a day when I could be that, saying that, and have that many people say, uh-huh. So that was part of it. It is a training. I started 6 months ago changing physical training. I haven't had a donut or a baked good in the last 2 months, which for people who know me as the king of donuts and cake, wait, what? I have been doing physical training to shift things around because I have to carry another actor on stage, so doing that. Managing a stick, because he's got a staff, and so I've been terrorizing the neighborhood, walking around with this 6-foot stick, making sure I have it so I don't drop it. Made sure I was off book a month before we started, because I run all the lines every day, because I just want to have that facility with it. And then I gave myself the best gift of all, a company around me that I know everywhere I look, they're looking right back. And that's manna. It's fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. I banged myself in the leg with a stick. I have this giant contusion on my leg right now. It's rewarding. There's a satisfaction in getting to say these words and seeing it ring true in my partner. Like they heard me, and having it come back to me, this loop being fed, being able to look out at the sky. I run my lines on the top of a parking deck so I can look up at the sky and not look at the ceiling, but look at the sky. Because at Miller, I got a sky. I got a sky at Miller. And I've got 4,000 people, we hope the weather stays good, who are gonna come to see this big play. Oh, Lordy. My hope for the future of the festival, we are this 2-week bloom in the summer. The festival got started in the 2 weeks that no one else wanted. Miller had been built, and there was programming all the way up to the middle of July, and then they started it again like later August, but that no one was doing anything in August, because who would be so stupid as to do a play outdoors in Houston in August? And Sidney Berger went, oh, like most theater people, oh look, there's an empty space. Nobody's using it. I'll pick it up. And so that's how Houston Shake got born there. But we're time locked because the symphony has to do 4th of July, and because we are the professional outreach of the University of Houston, we have to be at a certain place in the calendar here because we build in the shops, scene shops, costume shops, and all that has to be dedicated back over to the university, the school's operations, as it should. I'm working now with certain folks to try to figure out how we can make HSF more than just this 2-week bloom. I mean, we show up, only 9 performances, yeah, but 3,000 people per. More people see us in one night than see some of the theater companies in town an entire season. We've got 4,000 seats, they've got 100. So, yeah. But the good work we do could be around more. There are educational opportunities, 4th largest city in the country, there are all the school districts, proving to the next generation that Shakespeare is not the set of squiggles on the page where they talk funny, but actually are alive, and those jokes are funny. And when we do Romeo and Juliet for real, the teachers are the one blushing and saying, don't say that in front of the children. Like, exactly, 400 years ago, people were saying the same thing back then. Midsummer Night's Dream, he likes her, she likes him, he likes her, she likes him. It's your hallway, only they don't know that when they have to read it. But when they can see it on roll and we get them on the feet, there's a whole educational outreach that we could be doing if we had the support to take care of such things. That would be a great thing for the next step. We're now working to try to find the support so that we could be more of a 12-month presence rather than this 2-week bloom. So.